Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope your afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you're at, I hope is going well. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Again, take your finger, scroll down, do whatever you have to do, and hit that like button. Also, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. Also, make sure you go to dynastymir.com. Also, please visit Danfo, DANFO .Africa, Danfo, DANFO .Africa. Make sure you visit Danfo.Africa. Tours, Nigeria. We are rolling August 8th through the 17th. Again, August 8th through the 17th. If you're interested in rolling with us for the Oshun Festival, again, if you're interested in rolling with us for the Oshun Festival, we will love to have you. Again, we will love to have you. We will love for you to join us for the Oshun Festival. Also, for the Sierra Leone, November 20th through December 3rd. November 20th through December 3rd. We will love for you to join us. Citizenship is available to those who qualify. Somebody said this, Salawam Dusty. Okay. Yeah, citizenship is available to those who qualify. Again, citizenship is available to those who qualify for Sierra Leone. So hit me up. Go to Danfo, 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 DANFO .Africa. Again, visit Danfo, DANFO .Africa. And check out the other countries we're going to. We're rolling to Benin at the beginning of next year. We are still going to Benin at the beginning of next year. In fact, I need to do a show on that. I need to do a show on that. So once again, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, other countries, hit me up. Visit Danfo.Africa. Also, people are always asking, Dynas, where do you get the gear from? You know, they're always asking, where do you get the gear from? Visit Ileamir, ILEAMIR.com and grab all of your gear. Again, visit Ileamir, ILEAMIR.com and visit, and grab some of your gear, your Ileamir gear. People are always asking, Dynas, where do you get the shirts from? Well, this is where they come from. And go and grab a shirt or two or three. Buy one for your auntie, your mother, your cousin, your sister, your brother. Go and grab a shirt. Without further ado, everyone, once again, thank you so much for joining. Again, hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Again, if you're new to the channel, also subscribe. Again, please hit that like button and also subscribe. We will love to have you guys be a part of the Search for Who family. Guys, documentary should be out next week. Again, a documentary should be uploaded for you guys to purchase next week. We're just working on the site. In fact, let me take you to the site real quick. Let's check it out. Let's see where we're at right now. So, okay, the photo's missing for some reason. So, guys, it's almost done. It's done. I mean, you're gonna be able to buy it here. You can watch the trailer, buy it here, and then the actual picture of the flyer is supposed to be right here. So, it's almost done. It's almost done, guys. It's almost done. So, make sure you support that when I announce it next week. So, there we go. So, today's topic is Black America complicit when it comes to the United States of America, United States of America's foreign policy, reckless, murderous. Let's see here, coup supporting foreign policy. Are Black Americans complicit with that? Because the argument I keep hearing, again, the argument I keep hearing from my ADOS FBA family, one of the talking points that I continue to hear is that Black people have served in the United States military for every single war. Again, Black people have served in the United States military in every single war. So the question is, when people talk about white supremacy and racism, white supremacy, is the United States military an arm of white supremacy? What about the housing market, Jody? I got to check it out here in Atlanta. We'll cover that later. Is the United States military an arm or a branch or just straight up and out of white supremacy? Is it? So if you're bragging how, you want reparations from white supremacy, and the reason why you're making your claim, one of the reasons why is because the Black man has served in the military since the American Revolution. Well, aren't you aiding and abetting white supremacy even till this day? And as far as people like me who live here in America, who pay taxes, I can't stand taxes, but we pay taxes. Are our taxes going towards this economic hitman foreign policy? Are our taxes going towards this economic hitman foreign policy? So every coup here on the planet, in America, not just in America, but I'll get to America. Every coup that the CIA or the FBI, United States military has supported and funded, that is funded by our tax dollars. So are we complicit, Black Americans? Since, even you Black Native American Aboriginals, are you complicit? Because I'm sure y'all pay taxes. So is the Black Aboriginal, I ain't African, I'm Hebrew, Israelite, Olmec, Black Cherokee, Blackfoot, Hebrew Israelite Moor, y'all are complicit as well as me. You can argue that Black Americans helped white supremacy destroy Native American communities when they joined the Buffalo Soldiers. Absolutely. You're correct. Now, Larry, you're correct. So you Native Americans, you're just as guilty. The Black Native Americans. CJM, we're gonna do a show on that later on tonight. I mean, I'm serious. I'm serious because again, I keep hearing this argument how the Black American fought in every war and fought in this war and fought in that war. So you are an employee for an arm of white supremacy. And listen, that's fine. That is fine. Hey, I get it. That's fine. Me, I pay taxes. My tax dollars go to, or my tax, they allocate my tax dollars and your tax dollars to go towards to fund their coups in other countries. So in one hand, we can't say, oh, the white supremacy and the racism. But then on the other hand, we are funding the white supremacists and the racists. Call in, Alan. I got to hear a complicated answer. You say this is a complicated question. Alan, I got to hear a complicated answer. Because my immigrant family, you know, they will say, well, Dynas, we're following the money. So my immigrant family, they will say, Dynas, the United States of America, with their foreign policy, they destabilize our country. They bring in their economic hitmen to destabilize and take out our leaders, Dynas. But then the same immigrants will come to America and pay taxes just to continue to fund the same economic hitmen that they complain about. So come on and talk about it. It's complicated. Let's have, I want to hear the complicated answer. Links in the chat room. If you want to call in, click on the link. Again, if you want to call in, click on the link, but the link is in the chat room. Again, my immigrant family, they say, Dynas, the United States of America, they send their economic hitmen to our countries and they destabilize our country. I said, okay, understood. So Dynas, that is why in their foreign policy and their monetary policy, it messes up our countries. So Dynas, us immigrants, we're coming to America to claim what's ours. Oh, we're following the money, Dynas. They're looting our countries. They're taking the money from our countries and it's going to America. So we're gonna follow the money and we're gonna go to America. Okay, got it. But then when you come to America and you become a taxpayer, you're funding the economic hitmen that you're complaining about. But go ahead, Alan. Let me bring Alan on. Go ahead, Alan.
Hey, yeah, I think it's a very complicated issue. It's a very good question because the people in the Middle East, like Osama bin Laden, would always bring it up. You know, he'd say that all American citizens are complicit in American foreign policy. And so he felt that all Americans were open game because we all contributed financially to their oppression.
That's what he said? I never heard that.
That was his base philosophy. I slightly disagree with it because there were a lot of Americans, especially when W Bush was president, who were against the policies of preemptive strike and things like that, and fought vigorously against it. And we got lumped in with everybody else, and we're just open for terrorist attacks, which was, which makes it complicated to me because that's their philosophy. I think it is a fact that you do contribute financially to we do when we pay taxes to this country. But I think in a free society, there's so many different ways of thinking and different ways that people look at issues that you can't lump us all in the same boat. Just like even if you were in a communist country like China, yes, the Chinese government does stuff, but are the people truly being represented, all of them, in that same philosophy? Not necessarily. So that's what makes it complicated to me.
Okay. Hey, Kwesi, unmute yourself. You just had a lot of background noise, Kwesi.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't think I had any noise in my background here.
Oh, that might have been Alan. Alan, were you opening up a door or something? Like a screeching door?
No. You know what? You bust me. It was me. Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Kwesi.
Well, I wanted to listen in a little bit more, but anytime you talk about a hitman, that's something where that fate is pretty much unescapable because you're dealing with someone who's working covert. And with it, anytime that we participate in American society, as far as our money is concerned, we're just fueling that international monetary cartel and its oppression over us. We become a cogs in this machine. However, Claude Anderson said, within a year or two, every Black household could have a net worth of $1 million if we implement a basic economic strategy. And because of our conditioning and our indoctrination and our education, that's not going to happen because we're mostly individualists. However, it doesn't take many people to create a great organization like Facebook or Google or these huge corporations that's out there. And I think the next leaders really are going to take this type of approach and have more of a social agenda where they're creating houses and creating educational opportunities to improve the youth population. It's just a huge youth population, but we have the power to create any reality that we want. However, we want to continue to perpetuate the reality that has produced nothing for us.
African Router, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hey guys, you can hear me, right?
We hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to address the topic, and based on the topic, I'm going to say yes. Not because I want to blame anybody or I want to beat on anybody. I'm just going by what people say. Because if you say you're part of a gang, then you must be complicit in what the gang does. Because the argument has been, we are part of America, the American flag, blah, blah, blah. So you cannot say in one hand that I'm American and this is my land and blah, blah, blah. But when the white man goes everywhere and fucks shit up, now you're not part of it. All of a sudden, now it's him now and not you. So going by the topic, you must be part of it. You must be part of the conspiracy. You're part of the economic hitmen. Because, for example, in Somalia, right here next door, there are black American soldiers who are there fucking shit up. There are people in African countries and Caribbean countries who are messing things up. Some of them are black, part of you. So you can't say it's the white man. It's since you claim to be part of that gang, you're part of that gang. That means you're complicit as well. The tax thing, people say, okay, the immigrants come to America and they follow the hitman's money and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that doesn't arise because you must pay taxes anywhere you go. There's nowhere you will go and not pay taxes. If you come here, for example, you say that Africans sold slaves. If you come to my country, whether we sold you or not, you will pay taxes. There's no escaping taxes anywhere in the world. So the tax argument just doesn't work for me. So the thing is this. I don't like it when these FBA fellows try to be like, okay, I hate the white man, but I'm not part of what he's done. But then I want to be part of his society and I want to raise his flag. But then I don't want to be part of his nonsense. But then I'm part of his nonsense. So it's very confusing. It's like, where are you now? It doesn't make any sense. So
Well, you're talking about a people who have been taken away from their original culture, and over centuries, any type of identity has been erased from them, and they've just been made into largely a consumer.
That's not me. I don't know who that is. Okay, what you're saying is this. Okay, I understand you've been taken away from your community and everything, but we were colonized as well. We were colonized. I never
Right. It's a global thing. It's a global thing. The problem. Listen, let me share something with you. The problem is that we don't see ourselves as one nation, and we see ourselves as these different nationalities. But when you look at it, we all sold out. And it was a time for that to happen. But now we have to take the knowledge that we have and produce different systems outside of the ones that oppress the world. And we have to be smart and intellectual enough to have these conversations and then have an agenda that goes along with that. Yeah, there's many problems within, our Black nations. And most of it is the ones that can make a difference, like what we're seeing here. The ones that could make a difference, they're going to sell out to corporate interests. They're going to sell out to the dollar. They're going to sell out to their individual agenda. You understand? Like I tell people, if you have YouTube, you have to use it responsibly, because everyone can't do what Dynasts do. Everyone can't do what some of these people are. It's work that have to go into it. But if I'm monetizing and everybody's looking at me and they're sending me money, and saying, hey, I want to reproduce what Brother Kwesi is doing over there in the Gambia, but I'm making money off of you. When 10, 20, 100 of you show up, you can't reproduce. If 2 or 3 of you show up, it's competition. You understand what I'm saying? And then it's conflict. So we have to be able to have or create our own economic, our own currency. We have to be able, even if 10% of our transaction, we used our currency and we support our business. These are things that could be done. It don't take everybody. They have, I talk about the blockchain. Dynas is familiar with that, and anybody that's familiar with it, it allows us to come from under the oppression of the global monetary cartel, the economic hitman, whatever you want to call it, Jim Crow. However, these aren't going to be done in large communities. They're going to be communities that it might be a building of people, a co-op that understand that. It might be 4 or 5 of you guys, and you buy some land and you got 4 or 5 houses there, and you guys understand that. You know what I mean? It's happening, and the tools are there. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a universal problem facing us as Black, people of the planet, and we need to address it like as such.
And I agree. Oh, go ahead.
I agree with you, and I don't want to speak so much because I want to let the sister who came on speak.
Yeah,
And
let me.
I think we complicate things a lot because we speak a lot about. We try to reinvent the wheel a lot. We don't need our own currency to trade. We can use existing systems to do our thing. We can, but we think we need to do all these grandiose things like we need a currency.
Well, listen. When you say we have to use the current system and say it's a problem with it, you understand what I'm saying? That's insanity. Now, how are we going to use their system, their dollar, when the dollar is losing value? Things are getting higher. People are getting paid less. Come on now. What system of their educational system? Maybe we'll send our children to their universities.
Okay, and that was
what could we use?
My point.
We're going to have to use what's in place now, but we had a plan because a lot of people are suffering economically. A lot of people are coming over here and not making the transition when there's basic adjustments that we could do to help everybody. But that's not being promoted because everybody's bringing the old systems.
I'm agreeing with you.
Hold on, let me read this super chat and then we'll pass it to Chrissy. If they avoid big corporations, shout out to Never Miriam. If they avoid big corporation and shop at mom and pop shops and local stores, would that be supporting USA imperialism? Hey, Kwesi, I'll let you answer that. Then we're going to pass it to Chrissy.
If they avoid big corporation and shop at mom and pop, mom and pop died a long time ago. One Walmart wiped out about 300 mom and pops, all types of flower shops, anything, every segment in there, category in there, they used to be mom and pops. The mom and pops are done. It's just corporations now. There's no way outside of the corporate monopoly. That everything that we do, even to getting married, even to how we bury our people, it's all corporate marketing. That supports a system that don't support us.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Chrissy. Unmute yourself.
Yes. Hi, everyone. This is a really good topic, and honestly, when conversations like this, and I think of the folks who classify themselves as FBA and telling us, we flee and we need to go home and we need to be deported and all that kind of stuff. It's just like when you're in the United States, you are a part of the beast system. You can't, as African Rattle said, you can't double dip, have it this way. You carve yourself around all the problems and you want all the good. Whereas, we're not a part of this, but we're a part of this. We're not a part of this, but no, you are a part of it once you're here, if you want to be or not. Blood is on all of our hands once we're here, if we want it to be or not. And for the FBA types who are telling us to go somewhere, you don't even know, when we talk about privilege and the value that you have, the oil, the real cost of the oil is not the price you see, and that's still subsidized. You're not paying the real price. Most of that oil is coming from Nigeria, and all kind of shady things have been done to bring the price down. The produce that you eat is brought from the rest of the world. Dole and Chiquita destroy the Caribbean banana trade so that they could monopolize it and bring you low-cost bananas, low-cost fruit, aluminum, low cost, everything. You can get so many things here cheap. So the American beast system stretches its tentacles across the world and helps to undermine and destroy local economies so that you, who turn around and tell us to go home, can have cheap products. So I'm just like, when I hear people talk about this, go home, I'm like, these people don't understand international economics. They don't understand how things are run and how things are built. Unfortunately, I'm in the United States. Not unfortunately, but I mean, I'm in the United States, and unfortunately, I'm a part of the beast system. I'm talking to you on a cell phone. The cell phone contains coltan. There are African children who are being almost enslaved, not going to school, dying in mines for this coltan. Does it make me feel bad? Yes. Do I feel guilty? Yes. But the way the system is set up, there's certain things that you have to have in order to be able to function and progress in this society. So that's when it comes back to accountability. We all have to be accountable and realize we're all, unfortunately, if you're in the US or if you're abroad and you're using the US dollar to live a better life, you are tapping into that beast system.
But you hit on a good point that it is an international system.
Absolutely.
It's not just the United States that happens, and there are people within these other countries, whether it be Jamaica or a country in Africa, where they are participating in the global system as well. The United States is a world hegemon, and as
Absolutely.
a hegemon, you're able to go ahead and dominate globally. So simply having a location in the United States does not make you the ones who are benefiting the most from the system. There are people positioned all over the globe that chiefly benefit from the system and can impose aspects of the system in different countries, whether it be in an educational system where you have people who aren't allowed to wear black hairstyles at school, or every little thing. So I think people are being a little too simplistic about it when you say just living in the United States makes you part of the system, because the system is much larger.
I think you're talking about the American beast system, which is a part of the white supremacist system. So when you're talking about the black hairstyles, that I think of more of like the white supremacist system, which is global, right? America's influence as a nation is global. If America comes to the table and Barbados comes to the table, Barbados is at a disadvantage. Barbados is going to do what America tells it to do. And if they don't, look at Haiti. News has come out about American influence on what happened. It was funded by this doctor who lived here, and then there's questions about America's involvement. You know what I'm saying? So things do not happen unless the master says it happens, and that's just the way the system is built right now.
And things are a little bit different. You got to understand that America is, in terms of an oppressive system, especially on the black man and women, it's one of the most oppressive systems in the world. And we see it in our community through the explosion of violence. And here in Gambia, people don't have a lot of money, but, the ones that go to the West, they're like, wow. It's hard there because all you're doing is you're working for the system. You're getting up in the morning before the sun come up, getting prepared to go to work. You're leaving out, getting to work, and you're returning home, and the sun is going down. And in between that, you're trying to manage a family. God forbid you have 2 or 3 children or a husband, right? You're paying for a house that you don't get to live in. You're not raising your children. Social media is doing that. So we're in that system there that's oppressive, where someone here, they live together. Even, one of the basic things that we could do to really fight this global beast is live together. When I was in the States, we had a very large organization, and, we lived communally, and, in our community, everybody didn't have a phone. Everybody couldn't have the young people. They couldn't even get on phone for a certain time. It was a small group of us, and we made a lot of money. We had Food for Life Supreme right there, MLK in Atlanta. We had one in New York. We had one in Jersey. You guys might be familiar, Suitland, Maryland. However, as far as America is concerned, and I always gotta look at the violence. My nephew just came home after 18 years. My cousin Ray just came home after 29 years in prison. Half of my friends are coming home, the ones that didn't die from being in jail, and that's the norm for us. So it's better for us to be in countries where it's less developed in our mindset, and still have our humanity and have our families.
Kabak,
I mean, I can. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that point, Crazy. I mean, I definitely do think there are factors in the society that might lead people down violence, but I also think we do have to include a factor of personal responsibility, because at the end of the day, a person chooses what they decide to do, and they have to live with the consequences beyond that. But that's not my
I
main
don't, I
point.
don't, I don't, I don't, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that,
Okay,
because
that's
you're
fine.
talking about
That's fine. That's
talking
not
about
my.
Listen, let me just share something, because we hear that a lot, especially brother. When I was coming up,
Okay, can I
that
just make
wasn't
my? Can
there
I just
for.
land first, and then you can respond? I'll
Well,
just land on a point, and then you can
well,
respond.
you know what? Go ahead. Sure, why not?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that wasn't my main point, but you disagree with that. That's totally fine. I just kind of wanted to piggyback
Sure,
off of
why
what
not?
Chrissy was saying and what you were saying
Okay.
about living together. Coinciding with living together, I think another thing that we have to look at is also working together. um Chrissy was mentioning something. I think you gave a really great example, Chrissy, like when Barbados and America are at the negotiating table. Barbados is at a huge disadvantage in comparison to America. This is why I'm a big advocate specifically for the Caribbean. I know the Caribbean have their own like regional power block, but I'm a huge advocate for all of those like black population dominated Caribbean countries becoming member states of the African Union and benefiting off of things like the free continental free trade agreement that Africa has, and just boosting trade between the Caribbean and Africa and working closer together as an economic bloc. I think these are things that we can try to implement now to just benefit all of us. So that was the main point I wanted to drive. Oh, I think Crazy left.
I guess he dropped off. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button again, please. Hit that like button, and don't be afraid of super chat. All right, go ahead, to Nigel.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, this is an interesting one because
To Nigel, are you on? Are you like on speakerphone or something, or it's like your?
yeah, I'm on this webcam mic. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can just adjust it quickly.
Yeah, it's yeah. Go ahead, Leroy. Leroy, unmute yourself. Yeah, Leroy, we can't hear you. Go ahead, to Nigel.
Maybe while they're getting themselves together, can I say something?
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
go ahead, go
Wanted to
ahead.
respond to. Oh, sorry, you're back. Okay,
No,
but
go ahead,
just
Chrissy.
as
Go ahead, Chrissy.
Kabako was saying about the Caribbean and Africa coming together. There were talks of Haiti was supposed to actually become part of the African Union, and everything was smooth. Then all of a sudden, the complete idea was completely dropped. Me, when I see things like that, I start to wonder if some white man whispered in someone's ear and said, no, we're not going to start that. Just out of nowhere, they were on it. It was being advocated, promoted. Haiti and the African Union were in talks, and then just like a feather, it was just dropped
Can I
abruptly.
answer that?
I think
Can
I
I
think
answer that?
Tunai just says this. Tunai just says this a lot. Like we need to make a decade of progress happen within 2 weeks. I think that we have a lot of leaders who are compromised, which is so unfortunate. But honestly, the entire Caribbean should be part of the African Union. Like the next time we push this, it needs to be more than just Haiti. It needs to be the Bahamas. It needs to be Jamaica, fucking
Agreed.
Trinidad and Tobago.
I can answer that
Well,
question, but what
my
she
thing
asked.
was this. I heard a brother talk about how America oppresses us. How I don't really agree with that, only for the fact that America provides so much opportunity for us. They help the poor. I think our problem is that we undermine or undervalue ourselves.
Definitely truth in that.
Okay,
Because
Chrissy,
if
can I
they're
answer what?
oppressing us, why would they give us like Section 8 food stamps. There's so many programs. I think what it is that we undervalue our services. We just don't value ourselves enough to even start an economy for our
Well,
own selves.
well, Section 8 and the programs of the Great Society, you can argue, are a form of oppression, in a way, because
Well,
it
if they
conditions
wanted to,
people.
they
It
can just be like,
conditions,
no,
but it
fend
conditions
for
people
yourself.
to not do for yourself. It conditions people to not rely upon a family unit, but to rely on the government.
Yeah, but I guess Alan, the
Eh,
point is that the
Can
guy
I ask
was.
y'all? Can I ask y'all a question? Everybody always talks about
Hold on 1 second.
self-reliance.
Well, Dark Skin Dread, one mic. Can Alan finish his point first, or Leroy?
Yeah, my point was basically that the one can argue that those programs are a form of oppression. I mean, it's a tricky oppression where
It's socialism.
where it allows,
Socialism.
where it takes you and it makes you reliant upon the government instead of reliance upon yourself and your own economy. Prior to the Great Society programs, Black Americans did have an economy, did have communities, and did have families, and those things are broken apart through those things. And again, I encourage everyone
And let me ask you a question, sir.
read the
No,
Moynihan
let him
You
finish.
report.
said that
I just
it's
I want Leroy. I want Alan to finish. Bro. Let him finish.
Yeah,
I'm trying to hear.
but
Go ahead, Alan.
only other thing I was going to say is read the Moynihan report. It's very enlightening, and it lets you know exactly how those programs actually did it. And it did those things to the surprise of some of the people who were writing the report.
And can I ask
all
y'all
right.
a
Can I say
question?
something real
The
quick?
people that were successful, like in the Black Wall Street and all of that, were all of those people, and those were centuries ago, right? The Black Wall Street and all that.
Black Wall Street
Those
wasn't
were
a century.
those
Black
were
Wall Street
ex
wasn't a century ago. It wasn't a
those
century
those
ago.
those were ex-slaves, right?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, what tribes or where did those ex-slaves come from to be so proficient to have businesses and a thriving community where there's they were supposed to have been slaves at?
What?
That was
You,
1920s,
you,
bro.
oh, Lord, it's Ronald.
19 that
wait,
was
1 second.
1920.
I just wanted to make something clear. I mean, Alan, no one's necessarily saying what that guy was just saying crazy or whatever is incorrect. There are some. There clearly are some things that are oppressive towards Black people in the Americas. The point I wanted to make though was that we also have to take into account a factor of personal responsibility, because
Exactly.
he was naming off a bunch of people who just got released from prison, and my thing is that if they did the crime,
Oh
they're
my
going to do the time.
goodness, dude, Mandela did the crime too, then, my brother. Since you want to talk like that,
Yeah, but I mean, like, okay, are you saying that every person who went into jail was a freedom fighter?
man, everybody that go to jail, their rights are getting violated because they are oppressed people.
No, the people
So
who
for
went to
you to
jail.
sit here with all your good
Hold on. Stop
diction
this. Bro.
and
Hold on.
talk
Hold on.
about
Dark
people
Skin
in
Drake. Stop.
prison
No.
that they should be there.
One mic. So Dark Skin Drake, you want to tell me that the man that murdered two women here in Atlanta off of Northside Drive because the women didn't put enough. I'm sorry, he killed one, shot the other because they didn't put enough mayonnaise on his sandwich. He's an oppressed person.
Of course, he's depressed, and
Come on, dark skin Drake.
I can't do
Okay,
it, bro.
okay.
I can't do it.
So
All right, go ahead.
okay,
All right.
I
So
mean, come
so
on,
you
man.
say
I can't do
you
it.
say that Section 8 and welfare is a state of to keep people oppressed. I don't believe that either. I believe the only reason why those programs are there is because blacks or there's not enough in the economy. We don't create anything, so we fall into that category.
Well, I think those programs again have done more, and maybe it wasn't the intention, but those programs have done more to hinder the community. I didn't always believe that. I was way more liberal at one time, but I think the evidence is pretty clear that we had fresh out of slavery in America, Black people had businesses and communities. Yes,
Right.
there are the forces that
Yeah,
were
but
around
that technology
suppress
wasn't there.
did suppress those things and did destroy them, like they did in Rosewood and Black Wall Street, and the worst one was in Raleigh, North Carolina, right? But but at the end of the day, they pretty much, the Democrats pretty much paid for our vote, and we've been giving our vote ever since. based on programs that keep us in a perpetual, keep us on the hamster wheel of not progressing in mass. And
I
that's
believe
that's how
that.
I see those programs.
Guys,
Leroy,
can I?
have you? I know Alan keeps bringing up the Monahan report. Have you actually read that or watched the documentary on it here on YouTube?
No, I haven't.
I would advise that you do that. Then that would answer a lot of your questions.
Let me add to that, right? Okay, I wouldn't necessarily shit on the program because of this reason, right? Every society decides that there are some things in society that we agree that every human being should enjoy, no matter how poor the country is. For example, even in my country, for example, we agree that education for all is important. So it's free up to a certain point. Education is free up to a certain point. So some programs are there. Every country has capitalism and some socialism where we agree that some things every human being should get. For example, education. For example, right now we're having sanitary pads for all women being given out. That's socialism. That's a brand of socialism, kinda, right? But everything else is capitalism. Everything else you have to buy. But some programs are there to say, okay, we agree that these things every human being should enjoy. We agree that everybody should have. Right now, we are going to an election year in this country. So every campaigning party is speaking about universal healthcare. Every campaign is saying, okay, let's offer free healthcare. So basically, up to a certain point, of course. But basically, we've agreed as a society that we need sanitary pads to be free, we need education to be free, we need healthcare to be kind of free, kinda. So programs are not the problem. The problem is the people who are enjoying these programs. Do you want to stick in poverty, trying to leech off the government programs, or do you want to elevate to the point where you wanna do something else for yourself? And the second part I want to add is what Chrissy said about the African Union and the Caribbean. Okay, the African Union, as right now as it goes, is that the AU right now is very compromised, because Israel applied for the AU and they were almost accepted. The Israel, they wanted to be, I
That's
don't know,
insane.
they wanted to be like a caretaker. I don't know, not a caretaker. They wanted to be like, they wanted to be in the AU somehow. They were almost accepted. And then, but there was a doctor, there's a woman in the AU called Dr. Chihombori somebody. I forget her name. She's from Zimbabwe. She's the one who was the people who she was the one who protested, and so Israel was kept at bay. And again, because she was speaking a lot against France, she got fired. She was one of the VPs in the AU. So the AU is very compromised as it is right now. So the AU is not a body. Okay, the AU is good in some cases, but if you look at who funds the AU, if you look at who is behind a lot of the money that is there, you understand that the AU it's the same thing as the Jamaican government. For example, if you go to Jamaica, Andrew Holness is not in charge of shit in Jamaica. He's not. He's just there as a puppet. He's a bourgeoisie guy who's just there because he's light skinned. So a lot of these countries are not there. It's like Haiti when Wyclef John was running for Haiti. Wyclef John was told, okay, if you want to be president of Haiti, you have to go through that guy, go through this guy, go through, and he quit. He quit because he was told, because there were so many bourgeoisie Negroes who are under white supervision that they couldn't let him run. So AU right now, as it is, as it compromises, unless there's a change in the AU, the way it's formed, because there's no way somebody can make a phone call from Paris and get somebody in the AU fired. It means the AU, the person who's paying the piper is someone from France.
I will
So
say that I do think we give the West a little bit too much power in these conversations. I definitely do think France had an influence, a small influence, but let's just be honest with ourselves. Sometimes we are our own worst enemies. there's a
I
lot of those
agree.
West African nations who want to keep a good relationship with France for whatever reason. I mean, they've just been completely, totally, and utterly brainwashed into believing that they're Frenchmen. So I believe
I
that it was
agree.
more so an influence from those Western African nations than it was directly from France.
Kabaka, I agree with you. You know why? You know why I agree with you? Because West Africa has been watching on a West African currency for the last 25 years. It's called the Echo. They've been watching on it for 25 years. What happened with the Echo? Nigeria was supposed to be the leader of the Echo. What happened? The French, the Francophone countries decided, okay, we love our French, our Francophone, our French daddies. So let's betray Nigeria and Ghana and all the other West African English speaking nations, and let's go with what the French daddy is saying. French daddy called them to Paris and told them, okay, what do you guys want? And then they were like, okay, the Nigerians want us to do this and they want us to do that. And so they were like, oh, so they came up with a deal to make the echo, which was supposed to be an African currency, a West African currency. They turned it into some kind of a quasi French currency. So you see that's how it collapsed, kinda. So it's not, I'm not saying, I'm not giving the white man the power. I'm saying some of these black Negroes in our continent see themselves as kind of European. So the
True,
responsibility is on us.
it's like that book by Franz. I forget his last name. I think it's Black Skin, White Faces, something like that. You're
Exactly.
completely on the mark with that.
Exactly. The problem is this. Even in my country right now, Kenyatta, I don't like the guy. Why? Because Kenyatta, for example, he sees himself as a black Brit, kinda, without the accent. Everything he does kinda like benefits the crown because his family, his own mother is like Kenya is like a British colony run by a black Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, who is Kenyatta's mother. So it's like a lot of the problem with Africa is this: we have so many black white supremacists. We have every president is Clayton Bixby almost.
Hey,
Apart from
after Rattle, let me ask you a question. What and then I'll pass it to Joni R. Whatever happened to Jomo Kenyatta had a mixed race baby, but you never see him around.
yeah, okay. I've never seen him around, but the thing is this. Here's the thing about Jomo Kenyatta that I'm so sad that many people don't think, but I've seen so many African Americans who call their children Kenyatta. What they don't realize is Kenyatta is not the
After Rattle, let me tell you, after Rattle. So the Kenyatta was his belt, right?
yes.
Yeah. So my mom legally changed her name to Kenyatta after going to Kenya and reading Jomo Kenyatta's
Yeah,
biography.
yeah, yeah. Kenyatta was important, but the problem is this: Kenyatta was not the freedom fighter of Kenya. Kenyatta was the guy. He was part of the Mau Mau, kinda, but he was a collaborator. He was the guy they picked, and they made him the head, the figurehead. The real fighters of the Mau Mau in Kenya was a guy called Kimathi. Kimathi was the guy who was actually killing the Brits.
Right.
Kenyatta was a dude who was around. Then they were like, okay, this guy is kind of moderate. Let's pick him. Let's put him in detention where we will massage him and kind of treat him nice and make people believe he's a freedom fighter. He was not. The guys who were fighting for Kenya were Dedan Kimathi, Tom Mboya, and some other guys who you never hear about. Kimathi was just a guy. Kenyatta was just a dude who was on the side, who was chilling, and they decided that okay, we're going to make this guy the hero. It's like Black Lives Matter, where they take some guy and they say, okay, this is the guy who we are going to tell people is the hero. Kenyatta was not the hero. He never fought for a damn thing. He was just a guy who was around when the fighting was going on. He was hiding somewhere. Then they said, okay, this guy is kind of moderate, so let's make him the hero. But the true heroes don't get the credit. The true heroes was the true heroes in Kenya. Their families are poor. The sellouts, their families are rich. So Kenyatta was not really the guy. he kind of fought, in terms of rhetoric,
Yeah.
but the true heroes died poor. That's what I'd say.
African Rattler, is there still like a huge divide in Kenya between like the Luo and Kikuyu political factions?
Yes, but in this election, no, because in this
Okay.
election, I don't know if you're following this election. One of the heroes of Kenya was Jaramogi, who is a Luo. So Jaramogi is running and he's being supported by Kenyatta's son, Uhuru.
I see.
So
Okay.
it's kind of like a battle between the Jaramogis and the Uhurus are together. Then there's a guy who's Uhuru's vice president. He's claiming to be a hustler kind of president, so it's kind of like crazy.
Hey,
So let's see
let's
what
pass
happens.
it to let's pass it to Joni R. Go ahead, Joni. And somebody, go ahead, Joni.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on Dynasty. Hello, gentlemen. How are you? I just wanted to. I'm from Haiti. I'm from Haiti, and the situation with Haiti is it's kind of our fault. So we have a traitor among us. I know a lot of Haitians are not going to believe this, but um, you know how we Black people believe in a Messiah. So that's the same thing with us. We thought that Aristide was going to be able to change the world, but he turned out to be a really bad traitor. He signed treaties with Clinton to destroy the agriculture. He dismantled the military. He did a lot of bad things. And he's almost a billionaire. He was a priest that was really poor, and now he was against the bourgeoisie. He ended up marrying one. And I don't have problems with rich people because I'm not from the lower caste in Haiti, but I believe in my country. But when we start to kind of always say the white man did this, the white man did that, no. The situation with Haiti is us. It's no one else. It's us. Yes, there's outside influence, but Aristide didn't have to sign these treaties, but he did. He dismantled the military. He said he would put more money in the police. He didn't. People even said that he hired the local teenagers and armed them. And that's why we're having this gang issue in Haiti. Like, where are they getting the guns? We don't manufacture guns in Haiti. Like, so there's like so many different issues in Haiti. And then we have this thing of we hate Papa Doc, but he was really the only person that controlled the country. I'm not young and I'm not old enough to remember, but I remember when they ousted Aristide and I was in Haiti. It's not like how it was now. So as the Caribbeans and Africans, we have to ask a good question. What do we want? Democracy is not working. What exactly do we want?
If I could respond, I think honestly, a lot of us, we need a benign dictatorship.
Amen.
Just how you talked about, I don't know that much about Papa Doc, but from what I heard from Haitian friends is that there was structure, there was,
Yes.
industries were flourishing, there wasn't all this crime. There was a time when Haiti was the jewel of the Caribbean. In the 1950s, people didn't go to Jamaica, people went to Haiti. And there was a spiral downward that Haiti cannot get itself out of, and Jamaica is right next door. And it's just like, I don't know, it's the ghost of Christmas past. We're on that same spiral right down to the depths, right? And I don't understand if the people don't. I mean, it's not really the people, because Jamaica government has worked to ensure that the masses are uneducated. The illiteracy rate is so high. We have very religious people. I think the same thing's for Haiti. You have very religious people and very illiterate people at the same time. And they know how to manipulate. You know what I'm saying? A place like Barbados, after independence, they focused on educating the masses. And you see where Barbados is today. You see where Haiti is today. You see where Jamaica is today. So that's part of the problem as well. But we as Black people we need a benign dictatorship.
It's not even that too. It's just this. They believe in. I don't know. He's still there. They even said Aristide he had his hand in killing the president Jovenel. He's still there. They still want him to be president. Like, it's the people, they're blind. I'm like, this guy, he's like the Antichrist. I'm not even Christian. Like, he's the devil. Like, you should see all the treaties that he signed. Like, Papa Doc would have never let this happen. But yet they have all these documentary that he was the worst person. He was a strong personality, and he had the country on lock. Doesn't America have their country on lock?
Sure
Don't they
do.
have the CIA? The Tonto Makut was the CIA. Why can't we have it? What was I want to ask Aristide, and I always, on Instagram, I ask his camp, what was the purpose of dismantling the military? Why couldn't you just change the generals? But why dismantle the military
He's a billionaire.
altogether?
You have your answer. He was poor, now he's a billionaire. You have your answer.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of these countries, whether it be in the Caribbean or Africa, need a Paul Kagame type character
Oh, I love him.
who will come around and tell people what
Well,
to do.
Alan, be careful if you mention Paul Kagame. Tunisia's gonna be pissed.
But
I know, I know some people
He's
be
the
pissed.
best we have to, as
But
Black
we have
people right now.
we
The
have two
leadership.
guys in Haiti. If believe it or not, there's troops on the ground. I believe in my country. I believe in my country because I know that we're gonna turn around. Because we did it before.
I try to answer your stuff.
Why does
But my
Tunisia
stuff-
hate? Why does Tunisia hate?
Excuse me, what? I'm sorry?
I don't know why
Yeah,
Tunisia hates Paul Kagame.
But we'll let to Nigel. But hold on, let me. Bento, go ahead, Bento.
Yeah, I just wanted
Bento.
to first get to the topic. Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to first touch up on the topic where you asked if African Americans are responsible for the funding the economic hitman, and my answer to that is literally every country is responsible for funding it, because most of the world international trade is done on the US dollar, which technically doesn't have to be, but it's the most accepted it's the most accepted national currency out there. So literally, if your country is doing foreign trade, it's most likely doing it in the dollars. So therefore, you are funding and stabilizing the empire, the American empire. But yeah, on the other part, I just wanted to also touch on the ECOWAS way. You know, the reason why these Francophone nations invited France into the ECOWAS is because they claimed that they didn't want to be dominated by Nigeria, because Nigeria is the biggest economy there. And if they had a currency that would be part with Nigeria, then Nigeria would have the majority say, which is crazy to me because I don't know, this Franc-Afrique policy has somehow convinced all of these French colonized African countries that they have more similarities with France than they do with their own neighboring country, which I don't know what they did, but they have thoroughly messed with the minds of the people. But
They're
also
all
just to say,
brainwashed.
I think someone said, we can't blame the French for this. Well, technically you can, because the elites in these Franc-Afrique countries are there because France put them there. Most of them are, by this point, generational. That means they probably, their grandfather was a sellout, their father was a sellout, now the kids are selling out. So these are generational families that have been instilled into the ruling class, the national bourgeoisie, basically, that pretty much sells out to France. So yeah, France does have a part in it, and these guys know how to play their role. So they'll come up with whatever excuse. Some of the excuses doesn't even make sense, just to keep selling out to France. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you'll see a lot of these like Ivorians and whatever, these people from these parts in West Africa that are dominated by France. They look at Paris as if it's like the greatest city in the world. They always put France on a pedestal. It's kind of akin to how, Black people globally worship white Jesus. It's almost like an extension of a religion.
Well, the part of colonization is to fool people into thinking they have full rights and citizenship in the mother country, and that happens in the English-speaking Caribbean, where we all look to London and England as a place. There are soca and calypso songs written about it, all throughout the Caribbean, where that is the predominant attitude, that England is like the mother country, and it takes a few generations to break that mentality, and that's starting to happen in the Caribbean. So hopefully that can happen, in the French-speaking countries, but they seem to have a much tighter grip on their former colonies.
I hope so, man, because I honestly have almost lost all hope for West Africa. I feel like it's gonna fall next.
All right, go ahead, Abdul. Unmute yourself, Abdul. Abdul, we can't hear you, brother.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Oh, okay. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
Yes, actually, what I was
Yeah, Abdul, call back. Call back on another device, brother. Let's see. Let me get Al out of here. Al, go ahead and mute yourself, Al.
Good evening, Brother Dynasty and everyone. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, well done, well done, well done. I mean, it's a great topic to start with. I mean, Ivory Coast is one of those bulky ones, isn't it? Let's be real. Yeah.
What you say?
Ivory Coast is one of those bulky ones. In West Africa, we wish you could build a massive fence and just block them all out. Ivory Coast is the biggest. Honestly, anytime I hear about Ivory Coast, you know, my heart just it's that place. I don't know what's going on. Since what's his name?
Senegal too.
Oh no, Senegal is not as bad, honestly. Senegal, they're very clever. They know what to get from the French. Yeah, they play the French, they play their tricks and get what.
Al, you there? Okay. All right. Yeah. Something happened with this connection. Guys, links in the chat room.
I think Ivory Coast
Call
intercepted.
link. 1 second. Link is in the chat room. Links in the chat room. If you'd like to call in, click on the link. Also, too, hit the like button, guys. Again, do me a favor and hit that like button. All right, go ahead, Bento. I think that was you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the reason I put Ivory Coast and Senegal together is these two countries, if you look at them, they almost act like a gathering hub of these francophone nations for France. So Senegal takes care of the northwestern.
Bento, you gotta. It's your connection is
Yeah, it's really bad.
And Ivory Coast takes care of.
Bento, your connection is call right back. Bento, call right back. Your connection is.
Let's hear from Tunija.
Yeah. Tunija. I forgot you was there. Go ahead, Tunija.
Yeah, sorry about that. My mic was just playing up. Yeah, thanks for having me. You know, this topic is one of those topics that give me the heebie-jeebies because, you know, there was a time I saw this program, the Condor, and the Americans wanted to go and fight a kind of, you know, counter the Chinese influence in Africa. And the department that was meant to do this, guess whom was, that's the people that were present, the majority of them were African Americans. And so what that told me was that they are using our people against us. Technically, that's what is happening there. And, you know, this is why the topic is interesting, because this is something that has been going on, and we have not really decided to ask ourselves these questions, because these are basic things. It's obvious that we are also, you know, fueling the engine that is grinding our people down. I'm here in the West. I'm doing the same thing. So we are all doing the same thing one way or the other. And we should just start recognizing that and doing the opposite, trying to do the opposite from wherever we are. Even if it's to work slower or whatever, to slow the machine down. You try to frustrate the effort of the machine that is grinding our people down as much as possible. Because I think if our people do it from wherever they are, however they can, we will achieve more than not doing anything. That's for sure. Because for me, you know, somebody mentioned Haiti, about how they disarm themselves. You know, you can't make it up, isn't it? It's only our nations that disarm themselves. And technically, that's what Africa is. That's what I've been complaining about. And these policies are being fueled from the West. And when we say the West, we are talking about America. And when we talk about America, we're talking about pan-Europeanism. Some people like to call it white supremacy, but I think let's call it in a more benign way, which we don't tend to attach it to. it's actually pan-Europeanism. They are supporting their people, like the Zionists. They go with Zionist ideas. The Chinese will go with their own. But we in the West don't necessarily pursue pan-African agendas, and we definitely don't use the state's power to pursue it. And I think that's something we need to fix, because if we can fix that, you'll be surprised how far things can move. Because this is why I actually think African Americans in America do have some advantage, and all the African diaspora that are also present there. Because if you can tweak America's policy, Europe doesn't have a chance in hell. No matter what France does, they can't do anything. You see what I mean? And strangely enough, you have more African Americans versus Africans in America than in all of Europe. Africa is right next door to Europe, but you don't have many black people in Europe, that many. So it tells you that Africa and the US is quite unique from that point of view, with the ability to be able to tilt the policies that has been grinding our people down. Clearly, Haiti is just right next door to the US, and look at what's happening to Haiti. And it's just inhuman. Sometimes you wonder whether there are African Americans there watching all these things happen, whether they were part of the forces that went there to destabilize Haiti. Because in the end, Haiti is not made up of generally white people. And they need people that look like us to get in there. And to do that, they are commissioning people. I've actually talked to African Americans that say they worked in Africa, they worked in so many places while they were serving in their various capacities in the American security forces. So it's one of those things you have to keep in mind, that when you are doing these things, you have to always know the side you are on. And I think our people, when we start waking up to that, maybe to help with the way we do things, I'm beginning to wake up to that. I
think to Niger, we need to Niger. I think we need to start with Mali. Mali, that's where we need to start. If we, us Black Africa, especially West Africa, we want to live in peace, we want to live a decent, prosperous life, we need to start with Mali, the most important country.
I think Mali is a good country to start. Yes. Because I know that they arrested some Ivorian soldiers recently that came into their country.
Yes,
guess what?
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ivorians, I don't know what's wrong with those people, man. That country is highly compromised.
Tunisia, also ECOWAS, they put sanctions on Mali, right?
Yeah, sanctions, I think the sanctions were actually justified, actually, if you ask me, because we can't have military people just coming in and start taking over power in every nation in Africa. You don't know which one is funded by foreign powers. You don't know the one funded by the people. So you can't just have those people coming.
They did ease up the sanction, though. They did ease up the sanction.
Yeah, they have.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. That's because recently there's some guys from Senegal. These are the young African youths, right? And also thank God to Guinea. The guy in Guinea, he's the one that refused to lock the border to Mali because he knew he's gonna get sanctioned as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously you got the young youth from Guinea, Ivory Coast, Senegal, on a long walk, right, within the borders, just to prove that we cannot shut our borders. We are one people, one country, one nation. Because all these people that live in this country, we all came from Mali anyway. You know what I mean? So, they refuse it. And there's a lot of movement within the youth in the Francophone African countries. They're trying to read up to things right now. That's the hope. If we can get Mali back.
Mali, I think we've gotten Mali back. My concern with Mali, and it's something that everybody needs to watch out for. What has Mali done to reclaim any form of its sovereignty from that it lost since 14th century or so? Because what I see happening is that they just kicked the French out and brought the Russians in. Have they increased the size of their own military? I'm not sure. I'm still waiting to see numbers on that.
The guy that was there, did a great job. But obviously he got overthrown in the IBK. They call him Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, because I was watching one of the Mali generals said he actually equipped them with so many weapons that enabled them to fight for that long before they got the French and the other people in there. However, you're right. Replacing them with the Russians, I'm not sure how that's gonna play out. But the reality is, Guinea next door, the Russian been there from long time, since like when in Guinea when we kicked the French out, they were replaced by the Russians.
I see.
But the Russian never stepped foot in Guinea or trying to take our country or trying to control us. Does that make sense? Yeah. And you probably know the war. We had war in Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ivory Coast. It never came to Guinea.
Okay, I'm just checking some data now. Guinea, from what I see, still exhibits some of the traits of many African countries, but it's not so bad actually when you think about it. From what I can see so far, it's not so bad. But
exactly
the way, in terms of their readiness for conflict, they don't stand any chance against any outside force. The only country that stands a chance is basically this thing.
Nigeria.
No way, Nigeria doesn't. See,
Nigeria just need to increase. Nigeria just need to increase the amount that they got. But don't forget, Nigeria is the only country, as so that you probably yourself know. You know, Nigeria is the only country in West Africa that build their own armored vehicles. They build the warships. Built by Nigerians, owned by Nigerians.
They do that, but their military is still too small to.
I will say that. I will say that Nigeria has the means to do what is necessary in terms of just resources and money.
We rely on them too much. West Africa, we rely too much on Nigeria, and that we need to help them out. You know, the fact is, like when all this jihad war going on in the north and so on, all the West African countries just sat by and waiting for them to, you know, waiting for it to be their turn, and that's not fair on Nigeria at all.
Yeah,
and in fact, with all the pressure that Nigeria going through right now, they still manage to send ECOWAS troops to Guinea-Bissau, because you know the South Americans and the Portuguese, they want to take Guinea-Bissau back from the guy that's there, so they could use it for their drug trafficking. And Buhari told that's not going to happen. They're trying to kick the guy recently, and that's when he sent the ECOWAS over there and put them. So Nigeria is trying to fight war inside their own land, and at the same time they're trying to help the other West African countries, because they know if one of those countries, like what's going on in Mali, for example, is affecting northern Nigeria, it's affecting Chad, it affected Niger, it affected all these countries. All this time from Libya, it's all to do with that Obama, that sellout called Obama guy that started bombing Libya. Yeah, don't forget, a lot of the guys in Chad and Niger used to go to Libya. You know, that's where they used to go and make money. They used to go all the way to Libya.
What about Ghana in terms of military strength?
Ghana is another. The reason why I don't like Ghana, their business, right? Ghana is they're very cunning people. They're always trying to use things to their advantage, but they never really want to help the other people. They want to sit. Ghana is a sellout country. Ghana is the Ivory Coast of the English colony in West Africa.
I think Ghana is also a joke, and so is, in short, to be fair, most African countries are a joke in terms of their security posture. This is an alarming thing. I've been saying it to Nigerians, you know, I've been on the Nigerian streets and saying it to them all the time, because compared to other average countries out there, we are totally on a different level, lower than they are. And it's reflecting on what a kind of clear case of it is with what happened with Haiti, where they literally had to disarm. That's an acute case of it. But in the case of the whole Africa, it's the same thing. If you look at the BRICS country, even that contains only one African country, the African country that is among the BRICS is South Africa. All the other members of the BRICS, their military readiness is over 1 million soldiers. Well, South Africa is about 47,000. It's like we are just playing like we are children.
Only 40,000 for South Africa?
Yeah, 40 or 50,000. Yeah, 40 or 50,000 soldiers.
South Africa's population is like 50 million, right?
50 something. Yes. What are they doing with all that money? All those people. This is what we do. This is what black nations are doing. They don't.
Do you know what? You know what? Also, I noticed. Do you know what I noticed? It's not been religious whatsoever. You know, this is how the West really have fucked up Africa. If you look at the survey I recently watched, the Muslim African countries happen to be more stronger when it comes to military. When it comes to economy, they're more stronger. They're more resilient compared to the Christian countries. So you can tell what they're doing with their Christian missions in Africa. They're weakening these Christian nations, not only militarily, they're bringing their white Jesus over there and trying to and sell out, sell their fakeness and trying to weaken our people.
There's another dynamics that is going on within nations. If you have African countries that are Muslims and the others are Christians, the Christian nations generally are basically copycatting the West, while the Muslim nations are, to an extent, copycatting
But that's the
East.
problem to Niger. It's like we're trying to copycat the West, but we're not copycatting the military prowess of the West,
which is a strange one, isn't it? It's funny how they do that. And there was one TV personality in Nigeria that did this. He was like, "Oh, we should copy Sri Lanka," and I'm like, "Yeah." He's saying we should copy Sri Lanka. Yeah. But just check it out. When he was saying that, I said, "Okay, let me check Sri Lanka's military readiness." Sri Lanka is 21 million in population, and Sri Lanka's military is 400,000 in total. While Nigeria's military, Nigeria is about 210 million. Our military is about 200,000.
Yeah, tonight.
So by that standard, Nigeria should have 4 million. By that standard, Nigeria should have 4 million.
Can I ask a
question? Our
question?
men in Africa are cowards. So many of them are cowards.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let me ask a question.
They have been babied.
Hold on. Let Alan. Go ahead, Alan.
My question basically is, I've listened to you guys talk around every country in Africa, except for the one that seems to me to be the model of recent success, and that's Rwanda. Why aren't people talking more about Rwanda and some of the things they're doing post a genocide, where they were able to completely turn around their economy, their society, their culture, their military? Everything has been completely turned around.
That's too early. That's too early for you to say that.
I don't consider Rwanda a success because I think that's mediocre. That's the achievement is basically mediocre, really. If you look at what he has done, it's just basically common sense. Keep the roads clean, build a few houses.
But Tunisia, can
I doing better than a lot of other African leaders.
I hear you.
He's a standard at this point.
Tunisia, can I address that? Can I address that?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, because I wanted to start giving you a lot of the, the results of his work, so that you can actually see in terms of. Okay, go ahead.
Let me address that for a second. I mean, Rwanda has still a lot more work to do, but there are facts like Rwanda is projected to be a middle-income country by 2035 and a high-income country by 2050. Its population is about 12 million people only. And it has a military that is comparable to that of Uganda, which is a population of 50 million people. In addition to that, Tunisia, let's be honest, they are sending government officials from Ghana and Nigeria to Kigali, right, to learn some of the policies that the Rwandan government has taken in terms of just keeping the cleanliness and organization of the city. So there are positives that Rwanda has done. And it is moving into a better direction than some of the other countries, particularly in that region. However, I do understand your point in saying we're celebrating mediocrity too much, because the truth is, we should do better than where we are right now. But I do think that we can't completely discredit the positives that Rwanda has done, especially in such a short span of time.
But you guys are talking about it as if it's mediocre. I think it's outstanding that you have some place that was complete disarray, completely decimated culturally, completely decimated in terms of the taking a huge chunk out of their population, about 1 million people, and all the way to being what they are today. And for you guys to kind of poo-poo that and talk about it as if it's just an also-ran country.
Do you know why?
Can I say something? Can I just say something? I think I'm not gonna say okay, it is better to be worse off. But I can tell you right now, I would rather they are worse off, but more sovereign. Like Eritrea. If you compare Rwanda to Eritrea, then you're talking about a strong country. Eritrea, one Eritrean soldier has to defend about 25 citizens. While in Rwanda, you are looking at 300 or 400 or so, which is quite low compared to African standard. Ghana is 2,000. Nigeria is about 2,000. And that one soldier has to defend 2,000 citizens. So, but if you look at all the other indices too, like Human Development Index, GDP per capita, all the others, they are lower than Nigeria's. That is, I found that mind-boggling. That's for the
Wait.
Rwanda.
That's actually false, because if Rwanda's
It is. Check it yourself. It is.
Rwanda's life expectancy is 66 years with a
See,
population of 12 million. Nigeria
Nigeria is stressful,
55
but
years.
the GDP per capita, Nigeria is stressful. That's why GDP per capita in Rwanda is far lower. I think it's about two.
But you're comparing a
times
country
at
with
least.
200 million people compared to a country with 12 million people.
But it should be higher for the country with a smaller population.
And I
You see
will
what
say
mean?
that I will say that
exactly.
Nigeria had how many? Well, they had the Biafran War. That should be fair. That they did have that conflict, but Rwanda
How
is
about
coming
Human
out of it.
Development Index, where it depends on
Nigeria
how
is
you
just
develop
coming
your
out.
people.
Sorry, not
Nigeria
Nigeria.
is comparing with them. Nigeria's university has been on strike for 7 months. How can Nigeria's Human Development Index?
Okay, actually, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look this up right now. Actually,
What I
You'll
was
be
going to say.
shocked. And then he's been in power for 22 years and wants to stay further to 2034. What kind of country is that?
Because he is a good leader. He should.
No, he's
who
not.
else
He's
is taking
not.
his place?
Maybe he should lead from behind. He
No,
can lead from
he should
behind.
lead from the front.
You know what my problem with Paul Kagame is? I do not trust him. He's actually the West. The West got that guy.
Yes, that's my problem with him.
The West got him.
Okay, but the West got him, but he's able to get.
The West got everybody, but he's making strides for his nation.
I just looked up the Human Development Index.
Hey, one mic. Go ahead, Chrissy. One mic. Go ahead, Chrissy.
Yeah. So Kagame, like a few months ago, he went to Jamaica, and you should have seen in the comments. It's just like there's so many Jamaicans that I know would give their right arm to have a Kagame as a leader. Just seeing him next to Andrew Holness is like, you don't know how you've disgraced yourself standing next to this man. What he has done in his nation, and what a disgrace it is from where we didn't have a civil war. You know, as Alan said, Rwanda was completely decimated, including their reputation. They have foreign investors coming in. They have the cleanest city in Africa, one of the most peaceful countries in Africa, a bustling economy. They're making strides forward. So I think that those of us with our nations that are not in a better place, how can we look down and say they haven't done enough? They're doing better than our leaders are doing. You know what I mean? They're doing. I can tell you, for Jamaica, we're going backwards. We're not going forwards. And that's why I said, you know, a Kagame, you know, standing next to this Andrew Holness, like you don't know who you're standing next to. That was don't disgrace yourself standing next to that man. We should be ashamed where we are compared to where Rwanda is. You know, so I mean, I personally love Paul. I'm his biggest fan. What I see he's doing for Rwanda, the way he's representing Africa, I mean, I don't know, unless there's something else going on. Y'all want to share?
There are some things that he's doing. Like
wait, Tunisia, have you been to Rwanda, Tunisia?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so
unfortunately,
visit the nation first, and then see the organization of Kigali. Just see how they have that country organized.
I've seen enough of it. I'm one of those people that set high standards for our people. No, sorry. I'm one of those people that set high standards for our people. I'm not here to celebrate.
You're judging a standard for something you haven't seen. Experience it, though.
I've seen the data. I've seen the country. I know enough to say.
I'm saying be on the ground.
I hear what you're saying.
No, I'm saying be on the ground.
Tunisia.
My brother,
Tunisia. Did you remember we were talking about Ivory Coast just now? We were talking about Ivory Coast, right?
Yes.
How Ivory Coast is a sellout country and blah, 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 blah. Yeah? The same path Rwanda is following right now. Ivory Coast was one of the most developed countries in West Africa. Everyone in West Africa used to go to Ivory Coast to make money. They used to be the roads were clean, you know, very industrial, you know. But what happened is, Ofo-Bani was used by the French, to colonize West Africa, and also to sit there and use their influence like a pathway. That's the same thing America and the West is doing in Rwanda, and all I can hear is brothers and sisters praising the guys. And
that's not true, though. That's not true about Rwanda.
It is, brother.
If what you were saying is true, what you're saying is true, then the country should have been continuing to spiral down the same path it was going to in 1994. That man went in there and completely
1994
changed.
to now is not long, is it? You know,
completely.
The time is still early. Give it a few more years.
A few more years. It's been 20-something years. We have a 20-something years. We have a 2-decade sample.
You know, since the French settled in Ivory Coast, how many years was that?
Okay, but you guys are missing one fundamental point, is that Rwanda was actually colonized by the Belgians, right? And unlike Congo, who keeps
Though.
inviting the Belgian king back to Congo, and keeps parading them, Rwanda has completely cut ties off with its colonized nation.
Guess what Rwanda went and did? Join the Commonwealth.
Yeah, there's other
This is a guy.
African countries
Hold
in the
on. Oh, come
Commonwealth as
on,
well
man.
too.
Can I talk with anybody letting me talk?
Yes,
Then,
I'll
Okay,
wait
go
for you,
ahead.
sir.
then the guy goes ahead, then signs another deal with the British to repatriate Africans from their country or other foreigners from their countries. They're basically using Rwanda as a processing center for asylum seekers. So that's another one that he did. So there are so many signs. And he's acting as a dictator too. So the West is not criticizing him that, oh, look at this guy, he's been around for 22 years and he's going to go for almost 30-something years. And for what? Because some other person cannot do the job. I don't buy that. I think fine. There is positives that's happening in this country, but we don't know the price that we are paying for that positive, because
But you
some
haven't
people
been to
accuse
the
him of
country though.
sabotaging. No, some people accuse him of sabotaging this in Congo and helping with the pillage of Congo's resources. This is why they are giving him a kind of cover. You have to understand the way the West works is that there's always a linchpin in every region that they use for their purposes. They
Invite the
actually
royal
stated it, yes.
family in
Like in West
Uganda.
Well,
Africa
hold
now,
on. Let pass the mic to Israel. Israel Mansour. Go ahead, bro.
I'm not even finished the point. In West Africa, they use Ivory Coast.
You'll get your shot. Go ahead, Israel.
Hey, Dennis, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. How are you?
Good. Hi to everyone in the chat.
Hey,
Dennis,
Israel, your connection is kind of
it's bad.
your connection is not that good. It's
It's
crackling.
not good.
It's crackling.
Really?
Yeah, maybe go back in on a different device, and I'll let you back on.
Okay.
Mr. Sandman, go ahead.
Dynasty, before you carry on, can I ask you a question,
Yeah,
Dynasty?
no. We got other people. We got other people. Hold on, we'll get to it. Mr. Sandman, go ahead.
Okay.
Mr. Sandman, you gotta unmute yourself. Okay, all right. Guys,
I just want to say to
go ahead.
I just wanted to say to the brothers on the panel, I mean, it's okay to have your views and opinions. We all can have disagreeing views and opinions on Rwanda and just other nations in Africa. That's totally fine. I mean, it's a discussion, it's a debate, it's a conversation. I'm open to that. One thing I will just, ask the brothers on the panel to do is just visit Rwanda and just see how the country is organized and what it's actually like on the ground there and what has been done for the people there. That's the only point I wanted to make.
Okay, so as I was saying, there are countries in different regions that they use to do their bidding, like they use Ivory Coast in West Africa, and Rwanda could be what they are using in the central region of Africa to facilitate their access to the resources in that region. And hence why generally, they'll treat them a little bit better than others. If Rwanda wanted to make help with that region, they could have helped with Congo becoming stronger and help. In short, what you are going to see is not what you are seeing now. He has not made any real move to set himself apart as a sovereign nation. He's still within the clutches of the West. You can argue that maybe he doesn't have a choice. You can say, okay, he has achieved something. Let's celebrate that. But I'm not the kind of person that wants to celebrate mediocrity, something that other parts of the world look at and think, what is that? Why should we settle for that? We have to aspire for a lot greater than this. Even if we are suffering, but we are sovereign. That is the most important aspect. Look at Iran today. Iran, you can say whatever you like about Iran. They can sanction it all they want. Iran is sovereign. You can't go and mess with Iran in that place. North Korea, you can't go and mess with it. They can do their own things. But
I'm sorry, Tunisia, but no black
you'd rather
nation is
live in
truly
North Korea
sovereign.
than Rwanda, Tunisia? Is that what you're
saying?
saying?
Yes.
Okay.
1,000 times.
I'm not having this conversation
that is important. You see, now, okay, this has opened a can of worms. Let me explain why. You see, your problem is that you don't understand when you are still a prisoner or when you're not. What Rwanda gives you is you are still in jail. What North Korea gives you is freedom. ability to chart your own part in history without anybody
You're saying
stopping
North
you.
Korea gives you freedom?
Yes, I
Okay,
mean,
now, oh my God.
if you are the one running the country is sovereign. Don't you understand?
Those people,
You see, if you
those
cannot
people are
understand that, you see
starving
why
to
we have
death,
a problem.
Tunisia. Those people in
Oh
North
my
Korea are
God!
starving
See,
to death.
oh my God! See,
The
you don't
government is
understand
killing their own
sovereignty.
people.
You see the problem here. If you don't even understand what sovereignty means, let me tell you this: Africa has never moved the dial since 1490 something till date. We have not been able to engage in the first-rate war in the world since then. And now you are sitting here celebrating mediocrity because your people haven't even risen up to the challenge. Why North Korea has?
Tunisia, you don't
How can you
understand.
compare the two?
Okay, wait.
You know,
You're kind of being completely irrational here, Tunisia. North
Because you
Korea
don't
is
understand
not.
the concept of actually being sovereign. You don't
North Korea is
understand it.
not a model. You first of all, you're coming here saying that Paul Kagame is a dictator, and then you're praising North Korea that has a dictator for life.
Because North Korea has
And-
one thing that Kagame
Kabaka,
doesn't have:
Kabaka,
sovereignty. I
Kabaka.
said it just now. If Rwanda was sovereign, I will forgive him.
Rwanda has sovereignty. You can't just walk into Rwanda unannounced.
He's a partner of the West. He's a partner
Nigeria is
doing
a
their
partner
bidding.
of the West. Every
True,
country is a partner of the West.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
India
That
is
it
a
needs to
partner of the
stop.
West.
No, India is not. India is sovereign. India is sovereign. India is a nuclear power. They have their own space programs. They are
Just
not
because they're a nuclear power doesn't mean they're not
they
a
work
partner
with
of
the
the West.
West, but the West can't tell them what to do. Don't you know the difference? The West can't force India to do
Pakistan is a
anything.
nuclear power, and the West just removed their prime minister. So what are you
because
talking about?
because the people took bribes to remove their prime minister, but the West cannot invade that
Okay,
country.
no, you're being slightly irrational here. Listen, my brother.
What are you talking about irrational? You're asking a question and I'm answering. You are calling me irrational.
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
Because you're saying the North Koreans are free. They're not free. Those people are dying.
By whom? By whom? Their people
their
are the
own
ones
government.
keeping them in. Okay, their people are the ones keeping
Kabaka,
them
what
in bondage.
Tunisia is saying, yeah, Tunisia, let me just make this clear.
Better than foreigners do it.
What Tunisia is saying, he'd rather live poor, yeah, among his own, than live underneath a white roof.
But you guys are making these wild generalizations without actually seeing.
Because this guy don't know. See, I would rather live poor.
No, but you guys are making it seem that foreigners are running Rwanda. That's not true. You guys haven't even visited Rwanda.
Seriously, you really think 11 million population can be sovereign in Africa?
So,
I
Dad,
don't know.
if you believe that the population is why it can't be sovereign, why are you demonizing Kagame then?
Because he hasn't done the due diligence to make himself like the way Eritrea is. Eritrea is the only country that was able to vote against the West in the vote between Ukraine and this is the war between Ukraine and Russia. Eritrea is the only country in Africa. Why? Because they are the strongest in terms of the ability to defend themselves. So this is look at there are some countries in Asia that 20% of their population is involved in the military one way or the other. Why do you think they do that? You think because they don't fancy it? Because they want their sovereignty. They want to be able to control their destiny.
Okay, let's pass the mic to Yed. Go ahead, Yed. Go ahead.
Yeah, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's great being amongst you. So, let's all have a bigger picture of what sovereignty is, because it seems like so many people are getting it twisted. Ukraine had nuclear power, but not nuclear weapons. It was a sovereign country based on it would not jeopardize the sovereignty of Mother Russia, right? The moment it started acting hostile towards Russia, they were living a very good standard of living. They had their basic amenities and all of that. The moment that happened, it's destroyed today. Rwanda is likewise in a situation where they don't have nuclear. They don't have the sovereignty with the sense that if, in fact, Libya it was more sovereign than Rwanda. So if Libya could be destroyed overnight, like we have all witnessed, you guys are talking about African countries, an African country in this with this instance specifically to Rwanda, but predominantly it's the same with every single African country that doesn't manufacture their own weapons. They don't have the capacity to defend themselves. And so therefore they are not sovereign. You can build all your fancy buildings, but as long as another group of people or another race of people can walk into your country and destroy it all, that is not sovereignty. And that is why I came on stage, because I heard what Tuna just said about North Korea. He would be better off living in North Korea than in Rwanda. As sovereign as North Korea is compared to Rwanda, because in North Korea, once you're part of the leadership of North Korea, remember what Trump was doing. And Trump was talking a lot of all this crap about North Korea. What was North Korea's response? Shooting missiles. Like, oh, we can go there. Shooting missiles over Japan. Shooting missiles to actually say, like, listen, we can defend ourselves. And what did that translate to? It translated to Trump actually going to meet with North Korea's leader, dictator. With the instance of Rwanda, there won't be any missiles being shot by Rwanda to say, hey, we can defend ourselves. Instead, it will be Rwanda running around trying to, see what it can do to, in murky waters and being destroyed. So I think Africans should stop looking for symbolism and really start thinking about sovereignty.
Okay.
Just Africans
Now,
on the African. 1 second, I'm about to finish. And that's not just Africans on the continent, but the entire diaspora, Caribbean countries, Afro Latinos, and African Americans. It's the same thing that it has happened in the African American communities. Tulsa, Oklahoma is an example. Several examples are in the adults and foundational Black American communities within America. So if you enlarge that to a Black country, that's exactly what is happening. And yes, there are also speculations about Rwanda sabotaging Congo for natural resources for the West. Those are all speculations, and there have been some UN trucks that have had accidents, and the videos are online. So I think it's simplistic to just say, hey, look at those beautiful, there's so many beautiful buildings in Nigeria, but right now, if something happens, Nigeria, if the West says, hey, we mean to destroy Nigeria today, the Nigerian armed forces will not be able to defend the citizens of Nigeria. And I think that's the most important thing for the 21st century Black person around the world is sovereignty. How do we defend ourselves?
Okay.
With that, I yield. Thank you.
All right. So yes, sovereignty is important, but let's not act as if Rwanda doesn't have a military, because you can't on one hand say that Rwanda.
Alan, 1 second.
I just started.
Yeah, but 1 second, Alan. Alan,
Hey,
1 second.
yeah. Let Alan finish, man.
Because of the audience, you can't do that.
Just let him finish. I want to hear the guy.
So basically, you can't on one hand say that Rwanda is their aggressor and is going into other countries and doing this, that, and the third, and then saying they have no means of defending themselves. No, they cannot. They're not a nuclear power, and that is something that is worked on. But the number one thing, as I said yesterday, that you do in order to create those things is you create commerce and money, and the way you do that is through infrastructure. That is the one thing that one generation of a country hands to the next, which creates ability to generate money and commerce so you can get to those levels. Rwanda is the only country in Africa that I've seen that it seems to be taking that seriously taking infrastructure, making infrastructure a serious part of what it is they do. I look in West Africa at the countries that we've run around the circles and talked about, whether it be from Ghana or Nigeria, and they see a whole lot of public works projects going down and not being completed. So I think you guys have. I personally feel that a lot of you guys have the cart before the horse, and that you don't understand the importance that infrastructure has. We take it for granted in the countries that we live in currently because those infrastructures have been in place, right? And so we have the means by which to generate money to do things and then to build and actually be a nuclear power. You have to concentrate on infrastructure. And I see a whole lot of states in Africa and in the Caribbean who have failed to create proper infrastructure so that people can generate money so that they can take the next step
You know what
forward.
I would advise you?
And Rwanda,
No, to Niger, 1 second. Can I rebuttal him when he's done, please?
Rwanda is
to-
one of the few countries that actually have taken that seriously.
Okay, let me just
so
hold on, Edward. Let
Before
me
you
just
go,
say
can I
something to him.
rebuttal? To Niger, can I just
You
rebuttal
know your
him
rebuttal
real
is going
quick?
to take a while. I just want to give him one instance
No.
so he thinks about it.
To
Hold on.
Niger.
Can't stop it now, Edward. He just spoke. Come on.
Yeah,
Nice.
but 1 minute. Let
Be
me
nice.
rebuttal him.
Don't get me going now. See, Alan, think about it. If you consider infrastructure most important, which is something you have to invest to do, have money to do, why don't you, before you go out in the morning, you leave your door open, leave your windows open, and let everybody know all your belongings are inside there, and paste it online, and do that for a year, for 2 years. Let's see how rich you become. All your work will be for naught. You understand that concept? So if you start saying infrastructure is the most important, the reason why we are not progressing is because people have been thinking like this, and it never works. All the other countries that have done what they've done, they did it by creating their defense first. If you don't take care of your defense, and even if you cannot do it yourself at first, you don't find a way to find alliance, whatever you need to do whatever you need to do to get your defense back up. While your defense is in place, that's when you build without it getting destroyed. Sorry, Edward, you can go.
Yes, and it's a brilliant point you made. And you see, this is the problem, because I was looking at the private check and there's Kabaka that say, they just hate Rwanda. No, you have Botswana. Botswana is the most stable country on the African continent. But guess what? If today the West wants to destroy Botswana, it'll be a walk in the park. So we are not interested in symbolism here. We are interested in absolute authority on our sovereignty, land, sea, and air. This is the point that I think people who just look at fancy buildings like Instagram models and taking pictures in front of fancy, they don't seem to comprehend. And if you're looking at projects on the African continent, I mean, you're looking at Egypt, you're looking at Nigerian projects, even Angolan projects and South African projects, like massive projects and things of that nature that are being completed, 21st century technologies that are being implemented. But what we are saying, even I as a Nigerian, is that, whoa, these projects can be destroyed overnight. That's why when I first made my submission, the first country I used was Ukraine. No African country has gotten the type of infrastructure development in Ukraine. But look at Ukraine today, it's been destroyed. Why? Because they didn't start exactly what Niger was saying. Defense is paramount for sovereignty. You cannot say. Can I just?
They made a mistake. They made a mistake.
No. Listen to me, right? Listen to me, right? Defense is paramount to sovereignty. You don't do infrastructure before defense.
I got
Absolutely not. That is what we're just saying. We love every African country to have the best infrastructure in the world. That's what we are thriving for. That's what we live for. But after defense. So it can't be destroyed. That's just the bottom line. All the other stuff, Rwanda, sabotaging Congo, those are stories, yes. But as long as you can defend yourself when they shoot you a nuclear weapon and you can defend yourself, as long you don't have the iron dome defending your country, as long as you don't have your military up and ready to go anywhere in the world based on the sovereignty of your country, whichever country where is black leadership, it's
I,
all it's all for the birds, really, because like without that it's just irrelevant, really, because it can be destroyed overnight. Ukraine is an eye opener to every African country, every Caribbean country, that hey, if people are telling you and pushing, it's what we have been doing for the last 20 years, Alan, on the African continent. For the last 20 years, we've just been doing infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure without thinking about our defense. Why do you think Nigeria, that was once in the 90s, was once called the best ground troops in the world? Right now, you have people with rags calling themselves Boko Haram terrorists are able to are able to make such attacks on Nigeria
Well,
because we kept our defense on the burner, and instead we're looking at telecommunications. We're building all these massive all these massive buildings, finishing them up, putting technology. We're doing ports. We're doing even smart cities, building smart cities from scratch. All of that, but defense was not a major issue. And then all of a sudden, these terrorists come and they're blowing up everywhere. In fact, one of the major infrastructure that the government built was the railway system, reviving the railway system from the railway system in Nigeria, specifically the railway from Kaduna to Abuja. And the terrorists just came in and bombed the plane and bombed the railway. We need to think about manufacturing our own defense capacity, indigenous,
Can you let
in-house.
Alan say
Hey,
something?
hey,
He
hey,
wants to say
hey, hey,
something.
hey, one second. We'll do this. To Niger, then we'll pass to Alan, then we'll close out. Go ahead, to Niger.
Yes, yeah, I think that's why I put that link there. Alan, you should check it out. It's Into the Gray Dissing Zone, where they talk about how they this is something that they publicize. It's not hidden. How they undermine nations using money equals to power, assassinations, and all the rest of it. This is something that they were highlighting on TV in their Sky News channel in the UK here. So they use these methods to sabotage countries like North Korea, Iran's nuclear program. Sometimes they even take out their scientists and all the rest. If they can do that to those people, what chances have we got with even less consciousness about our sovereignty? So you can see how our systems are undermined repeatedly. That Haiti had to even give up its own military. What system does that? It's like your immune system in your body. You give up your immune system. You say, you know what? Use chemotherapy drugs and wipe out my immune system. Let me go and walk into the sewers. This world is a world where you have to be able to defend yourself to be able to survive. There's no use of an antelope pleading for mercy from the lion. It's not going to make any difference. The outcome is predestined. You have to become the lion. If possible, maybe a dragon. You see what I mean? We can't be weak, and we've been like this for far too long. It's almost 500 years now, or actually more, because it was since 490 something. Africa lost a step, and they've never regained it since then. So sorry about that. I just have to tell you how I see it.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to say basically is that you have a situation uh, where I look at constant. You talk about the works projects that are happening all over Africa and West Africa and stuff like that, and I don't see that. I see a lot of projects that were started, a lot of things that began, and a lot of stuff that has failed. What I see in Rwanda is a man who has figured out a way to start things and finish and complete them. In so doing, he allows his economy to grow, and he allows his country to industrialize, and which you can get to the point where you can manufacture things and have means to create weapons and things like this because you have a manufacturing base. I look at other countries, like, I even look at that wonderful thing you started in Echo Atlantic and stuff like that. And now, we're trying to figure out what to do with it. I see that happening over and over and over and over again in Africa. And I see one guy over in the East who seems to have figured it out. I think you need to give him some credit for that, okay, and understand and try to learn from him. As you've been hearing, people have been going over there and learning from him because he's actually figured out organization, logistics, how to complete projects, how to get people to do things that are beneficial to the country, and how not to be a complete kleptocrat to the point where he's robbing the future of his own people. And so those are the things I look at and think that Paul Kagame is a great man. Plus, he is a military man, so he is actually somebody who has been on been in military campaigns, but they've reached a limit right now where they can't. I don't think they can progress much further without having an industrial base. And part of doing that, having an industrial base, is through infrastructure projects that are completed, not left to rot as have happened all over West Africa. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not disagreeing that you have to defend what you have because you can't have prosperity without security, right? As Professor Neersheimer would say. But you have to have capital and industry to do that. And the number one way to get that done is through making sure that you have infrastructure to do so. That's my point.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey,
one more thing.
Okay. After you closing out, so to Naja, don't respond, don't rebuttal. One more thing, then we closing out. Go ahead.
Okay, and Alan, and when you were saying like African countries were going to Rwanda, actually it's like a parliamentary exchange between different African countries. So sometimes they go to Kenya, sometimes they go to Nigeria, sometimes they go to South Africa, Rwanda. Do you understand? So it's like a parliamentary exchange that happens. So it's not necessarily one place. Everybody is learning from each other. I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Okay. Fair point.
Cool. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. We'll be back on later on tonight. Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.